Hi everybody, my name's Jo. I'm the health coach, the face behind Joanna Frankham Coaching, and I wanted to pop in and talk to you today about living well with AIP. AIP, for those of you who don't know, is an acronym for the Autoimmune Protocol, and the AIP template has been responsible for so many great things in my life, and most importantly in terms of transforming my health in a way that I never thought possible before I discovered it 5 years ago. And as a result of AIP, I completely changed my career from working in strategic HR to now helping other people implement their AIP protocol, because it can be a bit of a big ask when you start out. And so I do this through one-on-one coaching and also through facilitating the AIP Reset 30-day program, and we're currently halfway through the May program. This chronic disease that so many of us encounter at some stage of our lives can be hugely socially isolating, and when we find, whether we stumble across it or we hear about it from somebody else, or perhaps we read about it, when we find AIP, it can seem to be this massive, big, hairy, audacious ask to suddenly transform our lives, our diet and our lifestyle in a way that can seem so hugely alienating in a time when we are already experiencing challenges with social isolation and the other symptoms that come with having whatever flavour of chronic disease we suffer from. The best way for us to approach any sort of big, hairy, audacious task like AIP is by biting down chunks. So taking the template and creating small, manageable chunks from it. And we do this by setting goals for ourselves, constantly checking in with ourselves and seeing where our priorities lie, if you like. We find tools and rituals that help us, I call it idiot-proof, our protocol, but also personalise it so that it becomes second nature. It becomes a way of life for us to constantly look for ways to improve our health through making choices that serve us, by adding nutrient density, by keeping a food and mood diary, by implementing a stress management plan. All of these things are ways for us to chunk down our protocol and make it far more accessible for us so that we can live well with AIP. Hello, Kathy in Minnesota. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. So I'm all about this implementing routines and rituals to help us idiot-proof our AIP. And this is about trying different tools and tricks and systems out for size. And, oh, bless your cotton socks, thank you. The other thing that I would say, which is kind of interesting because I'm talking to you today on Facebook, is that social media can be both part of the solution because it allows us to connect with people that we would not otherwise have the opportunity to connect with. But it can also contribute to our health issues because it can become all-encompassing. We can suffer from these awful feelings of comparisonitis when we see that our lives aren't tracking the same way that somebody else's is perhaps tracking. And this is especially true for those of us who live down here in the Southern Hemisphere, because AIP is a massive and growing movement in the US, and we're a much smaller bunch of people following the protocol down here in Australia and New Zealand. Yes, Mon, comparison paralysis is a thing. I completely agree. Oh, I love that, Kathy. That's part of my morning ritual, not looking at my social media or my phone for the first hour or so when I wake up. So I totally agree. So, look, as a result of all of this, I knocked heads with my friend Kerry Jeffrey at Emotional Autoimmunity. So Kerry brings a different set of skills to me, to this Autoimmune Protocol template. And because she lives in Melbourne and I live in Sydney, we thought that we would put together a Living Well with AIP workshop for the Down Under crew as a way for us to connect in real life and perhaps share ways that we can live well with AIP according to our culture down here, which, while similar with the US and with Canada and with the UK, is different because we have a different way of living. Our weather is different. We're heading into winter down here at the moment. So we do things in a slightly different way. So Kerry and I are starting things off with a Melbourne workshop on June the 17th. And I know we've got Mon on the call. We're looking forward to seeing you, Mon. Where we want to help fellow AIPers navigate their protocol with ease in a way that is very personal to them. We have 20 spots in our Melbourne workshop. They're filling fast, so I'm going to put a link to that workshop underneath this video. What are you saying, Kathy? Let's just say... Yes, we do have lots of venomous critters in Australia. We are a vibrant and growing community. I totally agree, Mon. Tiny but fierce is a great way of putting it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Hello, Juzzy in New Zealand. Thank you for joining. So the first one, as I mentioned, is in Melbourne, but we are keen to expand that and to bring it to other major centres. Hello, Tom. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. So if you are interested in having us expand that Living Well with AIP workshop to places like Sydney, like Auckland, like Perth, like Adelaide or Brisbane, I will put a link to a landing page where you can head over and register your interest so that we can start planning a way for you to connect with other AIPers in your local city. This is a way for us to, I guess, expand our community, especially with a Down Under focus. And Kathy, you're invited to come and visit whenever you want, in a face-to-face environment. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. We'd love to see you in one of our Living Well with AIP workshops. Linda, I would love to come to California, especially the Napa Valley. Maybe one day. Who knows? If these Living Well with AIP workshops take off, maybe we'll make it to California. Wouldn't that be fantastic? So if you have any... Kathy, come and join us on AIP Reset. We'd love to see you. If you have any suggestions for what you would like me to talk about in my Facebook Live hookups, which I'm currently doing once a month, I'd love to hear from you. It's a resource that I want to grow and expand. And I just love this community that we are building with people who are using AIP to improve their health. So... yes, Mon, the more the merrier. We would love to create a movement down here. So that's it from me in Sydney. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to checking in with you again soon. I'll pop those links in underneath the video as soon as I stop the recording. Cheers from me.